Greetings and welcome everyone from colorful Colorado. This is Dark Maverick, a Linux gamer, and today we're going to talk about the Atari VCS. You can see up on the screen here, that is the Indiegogo page for it. We have a couple of fascinating updates about it after they've been long silent for, at least 8 months. So, just for a recap, the Atari VCS is pretty much like an evolved version of the Steam machine. And maybe this is even kind of what Valve and them had planned on going for. I'm not sure. But it's a pretty fascinating thing. I have backed it. For those who don't know, you can go right to their Indiegogo page and still grab a piece if you want. But it was overfunded by 2,956% for a grand total of $3 million. So, I mean, you can see some pictures and stuff on it. They do have, I've seen pictures, I believe, of the actual prototype now. I'm not going to go over the packages or anything like that. Yeah. But if we scroll way down here to the bottom and look actually about some of the stats and stuff about it. Yeah, there's some fascinating things going on under the hood of this. So, let's see if I can't find this real quick. Yep, here we go. They've changed this. This was supposed to be Ubuntu, and that's why I had a really great feeling about this. I thought maybe Atari would just put an app on it, like a Flatpak app or something. Or maybe just their custom OI overlay and stuff on it. But now they've seemed to have taken the approach that they want to do a custom Linux. And I don't see the reason why they would do that when Ubuntu is a very stable one, unless they didn't want to fork money over to Canonical. That was one of the many reasons I could think of. I'm really interested in what the GUI and stuff's going to be like. I kind of wish that maybe they'd have worked with Valve and just used SteamOS possibly. I hope they are communicating with Valve, because the reason that I back this, and I'm actually not sure if that's still true. I'd have to look around and see. The reason I back this is because Steam is going to work on it. So out of the box, to me, the mute point is that Atari puts games on this. I don't really care too much about that. The main peripheral point to me is that this is basically just a Linux gaming box for your home machine and stuff that's trying to break into the console market, I suppose you could say. See, I remember there being a Steam down here telling you about that. It's weird that I'm not seeing that now, because I kind of vaguely remember, because it's mentioning Skype and Discord, so this Skype isn't going to be possible, because I'm almost positive Microsoft has killed their support for that. But, voice commands and stuff like that, they're really going all out, which is cool. But the main selling point to this to me was the fact that Steam on Linux works on it, which means that you have 5,000 plus, games and stuff. You have 4,000 games that work just with Proton, let alone the native games on Linux. Is this, when I backed it, it wasn't going to be powerful enough to do much, but that's actually the update we're going to talk about. They were quiet for 8 months, and then today we get this nice little blog post update, which you can find on the Indiegogo page, where they have decided to upgrade the APU. For those of you who don't know what an APU is, that's pretty much, some laptops use them, but mostly game consoles and stuff, and they're usually AMD. It's where the processor and the graphics card are on all in one unit. They were using a very old system in the prototype that they'd announced, Bristol Bridge. They have updated that to a Ryzen which a Ryzen CPU is dramatically better in all ways possible than the other one. They run cooler, they use less power, they're faster, they're just more efficient all around. They're even going over that right here, as you can see. The coolest thing about that, though, is you're still getting your the Radeon Vega graphic architecture. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now this is only going to be a dual core Zen CPU into that APU, which means it's still not going to be incredibly monstrously powerful for gaming. It's never going to happen. But as they're talking right here, I mean, you're going to be able to do everything your console does, because this is going to be probably more powerful than most of the game consoles out there as far as I know. I mean, I haven't played with PlayStation or Xbox in a very long time, but I would imagine that this is comparable competition as long as it still is able to install Steam. Because as long as you can play, you have access to Steam and or any other the other Linux gaming distributions, you've got your itch.io, GOG for some of their stuff, maybe at a Humble Bundle, wherever you buy your games and your distribution platforms that are Linux compatible. As long as it's playing games out of those, you've got a catalog of easily 8,000 plus video games on release of this system, which is dramatically more than any of the major gaming consoles would ever have. So that's a pretty cool thing. You can find Atari's games right now on Steam and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. One of the biggest things with this update is that we now have a schedule that's targeted. We have an update because they obviously missed the first one, that they're targeting for the end of 2019 for delivery. So, and I'm actually fine with the delay, especially if we're getting Ryzen and stuff, because this is really gonna reduce their manufacturing costs, because they're way more efficient with Ryzen processors with the manufacturing on them. So this is just pretty cool stuff, this is going to be a big boom for Linux gaming either way when this thing drops, and hopefully it doesn't flop. I mean, the only way that this could flop is either they do a terrible job with that Linux core and have a horrible UI and don't make it friendly, or they make it so that you can't play games off of Steam. Because let's just face it, the Epic Games Store is a joke, and so is Discord's. No matter how you look at it, they don't have the features of Valve and Steam that have been around for years and have put the time and resources into it for their community. So, and this is one of the biggest selling points about this, and I don't think many people realize this, but with this machine hooked up in your living room or whatever to play video games, you don't need to install games on it, period. Valve and Steam and stuff has the ability, as long as it's installed on your big beefy gaming machine, you can stream the game while your big beefy gaming machine is doing all the brunt work, and just stream it right to this little Atari box. So that's probably going to be one of the biggest selling points that you could come across for this thing. Let's see if they're... Yeah, it's still there. Will you be able to play Steam games on Atari? So they're still saying yes. So as long as you're... Yeah. So to me, this means that all of the Linux native games will be able to play on there. Now, as for the question, if you have a Windows gaming PC and say you have Just Cause 3, and you wanted to be able to stream that to this box and play it on this box in the living room, can you do that? I actually don't know. That's something I wanted to test, but pretty much I don't turn on Windows anymore. So if anyone has the answer to that question, I'd sure like to know. But I mean, if you're talking, to me this is just a game changer, and I'm pretty excited. I'm just happy to see that they've updated the processor to a nice new CPU that's actually worth a heck, because the other one wasn't too exciting. There wasn't much going on there at all. So, but yeah, if we look, they've just, all of this went down the crapper. And that's understandable. But it would have been nice that instead of waiting, I think the last update was July of last year, and then they just went silent, so you'd kind of think that they stole your money and ran with it if they'd have just, give you a little heads up or something. That'd have been cool. Before this thing gets released, I'd sure like to see some videos, or maybe they could even release this so that we could test it, some of the other people, because it would be really fascinating to see what they're coming up with in a custom Linux Atari OS. Who's working on that? So, if you guys have any thoughts, questions, or anything like that on this, or maybe you're excited, maybe you think this is a stupid idea, let me know. I'm gladly curious to know what you think about it. So, till next time, catch you guys later.